Hello, Potato, and welcome to Weekend Magic for March the 18th, 2023. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, and we missed it. So not a whole lot of interest this week. I think it was the Laughing Place blog had pictures up of the rest of the Disney Decades 1930s collection, the part that's coming out this coming Monday, just a couple days after this video releases. And yeah, I think we're only going to buy a couple pieces this time. My wife had already indicated she was not interested in the backpack, but she was interested in the ears. Shop Disney had released pictures of the Snow White ears. And yeah, those are very nice. Laughing Place had like front and back pictures of them. They also had pictures of a Clarabelle and Horace magic band. The pin this month is actually going to be two pins. It'll be Clarabelle Cow and I think Horace Collar, I think was his name. Clarabelle and Horace. You don't see Horace. You see Clarabelle, I think, more than you see Horace. And let's see, what else was there? There was the plush is going to be the Three Little Pigs, which do look very cute. They're going to come in the Disney 100 like little silver satiny bag, and I think I'm gonna give them a pass. But what Laughing Place didn't have in their article is a toy. So I'm wondering, are we not going to get a toy every month? Because that was kind of the thing that I thought was the most interesting, the idea of a toy kind of themed after each decade. But either Laughing Place just didn't have pictures of that, and I haven't found anybody else with pictures of it, or the 1930s just didn't have toys. I don't know, but I think we're just going to go with the pins and the ears this month. I think that's going to be it. I'm kind of like wanting to avoid the plush. Three Little Pigs do look very nice, but I mean, we don't collect Three Little Pigs things. We don't really need it. So yeah, I think just pins and ears this month. But we'll find out what we ultimately got when I do that video, hopefully next week. If Shop Disney delivers as quickly as they did with the first collection, hopefully next week we'll have the second collection right here on the table. Another interesting thing at Laughing Place, again, I think it was the Laughing Place blog that I found this at, is they had a breakdown of what the rest of the collection is going to be, like what each decade's going to be. So according to Laughing Place, on April 17th, the 40s will be Pinocchio and Others. So like this month is Snow White and Others, hence the, or is it Band Leader Mickey and Others? Anyway, it's an and Others. Because we have the Three Little Pigs, we have Snow White, we have Clarabelle and Horace, and we have Mickey Mouse. So next month will be Pinocchio and Others. Be interested to see what the others are. And then the 1950s, releasing on May the 15th, will be Alice in Wonderland, which is, I think, a good choice. 1960s will be The Jungle Book. That'll be June 19th, which again, I think it may be a somewhat controversial choice, not like Song of the South controversial, but maybe a little controversial choice. People have issues, I think, more with the actual Rudyard Kipling novel than the Disney version specifically, but I could see people having an issue with that. And then I think things fall apart a bit. Now, I know the 70s and 80s are not the strongest of Disney decades. The 70s, releasing July 17th, will be The Aristocats, which I feel is very much a forced meme on Disney's part. They've been trying on and off for at least a decade now to make The Aristocats a thing that was popular, when I don't recall it ever being that popular, or frankly, even being that good. So yeah, the 70s will be The Aristocats, which, I mean, I'm down for pins, but beyond that, if there's not going to be a toy every month, I'm in for pins, and then we'll decide what else on a month-by-month basis. And it kind of gets worse in the 80s with August 21st release of Rescue Rangers. Now, I know Rescue Rangers got a little bit of a shot in the arm with that movie they released on Disney Plus last year, but I don't know about you. I mean, well, let's face it, you're watching YouTube, you're probably younger than I am, but for me, I view the Rescue Rangers as being much more of a 90s thing. I know it did originally release in the 80s, but it released on the Disney Channel, and I didn't even have cable in the 80s, never mind the Disney Channel. I didn't see Rescue Rangers until the early 90s when it was on Disney Afternoon. So in my mind, it, along with everything else on Disney Afternoon, DuckTales, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Bonkers, Gargoyles, these are all 90s things. I don't really associate Rescue Rangers with the 80s, but that said, I mean, what are they going to do? A Sword in the Stone or Black Cauldron? I don't think so. So I guess I can see that being the choice for the 80s. Things do pick up in the 90s, though. The 90s was like the Disney Renaissance, and there's a few good choices in there. And so September 18th, we'll be seeing the release of a Beauty and the Beast collection. Now, I feel one could make a very strong argument for Little Mermaid, but I think Beauty and the Beast is definitely in that Disney Renaissance classic period, and a good choice. So that should be an interesting collection. Then the 2000s are Princess and the Frog, which is, I feel, a movie that's been gaining momentum. And I think especially that we do have a Princess and the Frog ride in the works at Disney parks. You certainly could choose worse. There are probably other things I would have chosen, but I do understand choosing Princess and the Frog. But then we fall apart again in the 2010s. Now, when you think Disney movies in the 2010s, what juggernaut film do you think of? That's right, Toy Story 4. The, for my money, worst of the Toy Story movies, which isn't to say it's bad. It's just, I think 3 went out on a high point, and 4 was what it was. I feel like I think of Disney in the 2010s. I much more like come to that this little film called Frozen. Yeah, you know, the one with the girl, the supervillain, the mutant who shoots ice. Yeah, that one. I feel like that would have been a much stronger choice. I feel like you'd have been better off doing one of the earlier Toy Story movies. But then again, I feel like the 90s, when the original Toy Story came out, I feel like it would be hard to pick Toy Story if I'm making a collection. Not just considering my own personal tastes, but I think what the general shopper is going to be into. I would have a hard time picking Toy Story over Beauty and the Beast or Little Mermaid, just as far as what is going to bring in the customers. And again, 2000s, again, I see them wanting to do something with Princess and the Frog. Again, it's a movie that I feel like it's been gaining momentum since it released. But I mean, I feel like that, like Toy Story 3 would have been a good one to do compared to doing Toy Story 4 in the 10s. It's also interesting that Toy Story 4 is the only Pixar, the only non-Disney original like IP. It's a Pixar one. Also interesting then to note that there's no Marvel, no Star Wars. So yeah, I feel like the 70s and 80s are going to be... I mean, I like Rescue Rangers, so I mean, that could be a nice collection. It's just... It's the only one that's a television show, and I associate it with the 90s. But yeah, I mean, for me, the ones that I'm least enthused for was Aristocats, just straight off. That's my last place. And then Toy Story 4, not because I don't want some Toy Story stuff. I would love some nice Toy Story pins and ears and whatever else. I just feel like Toy Story 4 is the weakest of the Toy Stories. But then if it's just like Buzz and Woody and stuff, I can pretend it's from whatever Toy Story I want, right? But yeah, so I mean, I've I think complained enough now about things coming up. But yeah, that appears to be the lineup for the rest of Disney decades. I'm a little hesitant about the rest of this collection now, particularly the 70s. But again, I'm in for pins. If nothing else, I'm going to get the pins. We got that Disney 100 pin board. All those pins are going to go up on there. So I'm in for pins. Everything else is a wait and see. Now, on to this week's bit of consumerism. What have we purchased this week? Or at least, what am I going to show this week that we've purchased? And this week is all stuff my wife has picked. And it is from the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023. Now, of course, we've never been to Epcot. We've never been to Florida. But see, all the stuff we've picked up is Snow White. And that is the important thing here, is that they are Snow White, which means this month we'll be having 2 different sets of Snow White ears. Yeah, I picked up 4 things from the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023, and they are all, as one might expect from a international gardening festival, gardening related. And we'll start off with, as far as like square footage, the biggest thing, which is this. An apron featuring Snow White. Can we open it easily? So yes, yeah, this is another one of the things where I'm going to open up my wife's stuff. No, I'm not actually. This is not. Am I? No, I'm not. It's not going to open easily. I don't want to mess it up. But it's a gardening apron. So it is fairly thin, but it has a nice rendition of Snow White on the front. I mean, there's a tag in front of it, unfortunately. And I know if I hold it up straight in front of the camera, the light will glare off of it, but it's a nice rendition. I think it's interesting how they've done with the white in the skin and like the shadows in her hair. It's a very kind of a pale rendition. And then on the flip side here, the bottom, the bit that hangs around your waist, does the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 with some of Snow White's little birdies and some more little flowers. So that's a nice little thing. Now, will she actually wear it gardening and get it all mucky? Who knows? But it is nice, and it could be displayed somewhere. We could do a spring display with the gardening kit, because it's not the only thing that you actually could conceivably use in the garden. We also have some matching gloves. And these I think I will open. Yeah, these open easily. So these we will open. Oh, they are different than I thought they would be. They're very thin, but they have like the little rubbery stuff around the fingers, I guess, to help keep like thorns and stuff from sliding through it. Or maybe because it's a fairly thin, not thin, well, I mean it's thin, but a fairly slick fabric on this side. Maybe just so when you're handling like pots and stuff, they don't slide out of your hands, fall on the ground, and shatter. How elastic is this? I mean, of course, if you say Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 on the wrist, and you do see little Snow Whites and birdies and flowers spread throughout. Now, of course, the important question is, do they fit me? And let's see if can we find out? We have to use this hand. That one's got a plush tag run right through the center of the handhole. And you know what, actually, I think, I mean, not especially well, but I didn't think I'd be able to get my hand on. I can't. This is as far. My end of my fingers are actually down here. So no, these definitely do not fit my big, giant rock biter hands. Now again, the question is, will they get used? Who knows? I mean, because if you use them, they're going to get all mucky. And if you don't use them, then, I mean, they were bought for a purpose, but they are, I mean, I'll be honest, I would probably not use them. That's the problem. That's why I don't buy things like this personally, because unless I'm going to display it somewhere, I wouldn't want to wear, like, actually wear it and mess it up. So if I bought it, it would be purely for the purpose of having in the collection. I wouldn't actually wear it for its intended purpose. So, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I do feel like they are maybe a little thin for garden. I don't know how tough this rubbery stuff is. Like, you know, is it going to stop a thorn from piercing right in your hand or not? I don't know if it's more meant to just be grippy or if it's meant to like stop piercings. But for me, those are kind of thin gloves, thinner than I would want to use if I'm handling anything that's got little sharp pointy bits that want me to very much not cut them off. So they're very nice. The pattern is very nice on them. There's actually a good Snow White right there on the back of that hand. Yeah, cute, very cute. Now the next bit is not something you would, well, I guess you could wear it gardening, but I feel like it would be ill-advised. And that would be these, the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 Snow White ears. This is what I was referring to, and I said we'd be getting 2 sets of Snow White ears this month. I mean, that's of course assuming things go well on Monday, but given that the 1920s collection didn't seem to sell very well, or at least not very fast, I'm hoping that we won't have any difficulties getting the 1930s. Now these I think are actually very is ornate the word? There's a lot of stuff going on these. We've got, of course, Snow White in a very similar style. Not the same design, but a similar art style as our apron here. We've got the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 logo over on this side. The back's actually fairly plain. That's normally where you'd see like the, like on the Mickey Mouse Main Attractions or Mickey Memories or anything like that, you'd see the logo back here. But back here's just some wildflowers, and then a whole bunch of flowers across the bow. I feel like wearing these. This would be bothersome at some point. Like, I think that'd be in your eyes. Something else rubbing against your forehead, I feel like would be annoying. Oh, this is interesting. I mean, to me at least. So I've commented many times when looking at ears that they have, like this here, the CVS Rite Aid receipt tape warning label on them, which we'll tuck right back in that glove because that's a nice place to hide it. And I've commented many times on the ears that they have that. And my wife has found that if you wrap them around here or roll them up and then pin them down to the inside, they are much less obtrusive. But this one doesn't have it. This one has like a little booklet. It has all the, I mean, I'm sure all the information is there, but it's almost like a little booklet instead of a big 6 or 7 inch long ribbon. I like that because, again, you could still roll that in there and pin it down, I'm sure. But that's much less obtrusive. That, I wonder if that's what we're going to see from now on, because that I like. I mean, not that I have any real opinion on the ears in general. They aren't for me. But I think that is a huge improvement over the big, long tag. Because if you cut it off, you're kind of defacing your own stuff. And if you don't cut it off, it's kind of ugly. I think that's much better. But it's nice roses, lots of roses, and whatever this is. I am not good with flowers. If you know what flower this is, let me know in the comments. Other than a fake. Oh, there's one over here too. And then these ones. Don't know what they are either. But yeah, that's can we let's give me a second here. There we go, perfect. Got the ears on the glowy head. Yeah, so I guess that wouldn't be in the eyes, but I feel like that would annoy your forehead. I guess it depends where your hairline is. My hairline is not as far forward as it once was. Maybe if you have a more robust hairline, that would just sit on your hair, maybe on your bangs. Maybe push your bangs down in your eyes. That could be annoying. But at least there's just one more item from the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 Snow White collection. And it's not something you would use in the garden, but it is something you could use with a plant, and that's this. And this comes in a big old, like, giant ornament style box. Because again, we don't do, or Shop Disney does not do the styrofoam anymore, which is overall probably a plus. Also actually kind of nice with this kind of stuff is it doesn't break apart when you take it in and out of the packaging. So, I mean, it's easier to save it and put it back in the package later without like this crumbling. Now, of course, I guess if it gets wet, that would be a problem. And of course, these elastics aren't going to last forever. So that will also potentially, eventually be a problem. But here is our final item. It's a little statue-y sort of thing. And that is this. The Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 Snow White little like plant pot holder. Which I wonder if you could put like a not Bath and Body Works, a Bed Bath and Beyond. No, a Bath and Body Works. I was right the first time, not Bed Bath and Beyond. A Bath and Body Works candle. It looks like about the right width. but I wonder if, because her butt's kind of sticking over the edge and her collar is definitely sticking in, I wonder if those would interfere. Because that would be kind of a cool candle holder. Flip it this way so you can't see the logo on it. But yeah, we have a lovely little Snow White figurine. Kind of simply painted, but does sort of go with the appearance of her on the other items in the collection. It's maybe a little washed out, a little like less detailed than one could do. If you didn't have it in context, you might think it's maybe a little lacking detail, but in context, it actually matches the style of the other items quite well. Paint looks pretty good on it. I mean, there's some stuff there, but I think a certain amount is unavoidable, and who's really going to be looking at it this close? Normally, it's going to be up on a shelf or something with a plant in it, and you're going to see it like this, which I don't think you can notice those very little minor issues at all. The paint job on the well itself is quite nice. Got some flowers over here. And it is meant for a potted plant because it's got a hole in the bottom for the water to drain out of. Decorative item only, not a toy. Made in China. So yeah, that's our stuff this week. That is our ventures into Disney consumerism with the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival 2023 Snow White Collection. One of these days, maybe we'll actually go to Epcot. Then again, it is in Florida. Maybe not. So for me, I mean, again, none of these are mine, but for me, I think my favorite piece out of this collection, or at least that she chose out of this collection, is probably going to be Snow White there herself. To be fair, none of the other items will, first of all, fit me. I'm sure that apron wouldn't fit me either. And I don't wear the ears. So, I mean, it's kind of an obvious choice, but even aside from just personal taste, I do think it is I guess being in the statue realm, I'm much more of a three-dimensional action figure statue kind of person. So this definitely appeals to me personally more than any of the rest of it. But again, it's not mine. But let me know in the comments which piece is your favorite. Do you like the gloves, the apron, the ears, or Snow White, the pot plant holder, the best? The potted plant holder, not. I mean, I guess you could put a pot plant in it. Although I feel like you need a bigger pot than that would accommodate. But I honestly don't know. I mean, only time I've ever seen that sort of plant in person was at the State Fair last year, and they were admittedly much larger pots than would have fit in there. But now I'm just rambling, so let's cut this off here. I hope you found this all interesting and entertaining. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.